Top 6 actors James Coburn disliked the most. James Coburn was born James Harrison Coburn III on August 31st, 1928 in Laurel, Nebraska, a small Midwestern town where his formative years were influenced by the virtues of hard work, humility, and determination. His family struggled through the Great Depression, which gave him a resiliency and independence that would remain with him throughout his life. Having relocated to Compton, California as a young boy, Coburn became fascinated with films and with the art of storytelling. He went on to enroll in Los Angeles City College, where he studied acting and drama and where he refined his skills, which would propel him into a Hollywood icon's career. Coburn's road to fame was not easy. He joined the U.S. Army during the Korean War, where he learned discipline and ruggedness, traits that would eventually be seen in the tough, stoic characters on screen that he played. Following his military stint, he joined acting more seriously and studied with well-known acting instructors and performed in theater and small television appearances. His rough, good looks, authoritative presence, and distinctive, gravelly voice separated him from his contemporaries immediately, and he was a natural for action and Western pictures. He became popular in the 1960s, establishing himself as one of Hollywood's most familiar faces in action movies, spy thrillers, and Westerns. Coburn's breakthrough came in The Magnificent Seven, 1960, which cast him as knife-throwing gunslinger Brit, a part which solidified his status as a star on the rise. During the 1960s, he was celebrated for his cool, which was invoked in comparison to Steve McQueen, with whom he had a close friendship. Coburn continued to work in movies such as The Great Escape, 1963, Our Man Flint, 1966, and in Like Flint, 1967, playing a suave James Bond-style secret agent. These character assignments cemented his status as one of the era's quintessential tough guys, combining wit, charm, and physicality in a manner that the public adored. Though his screen persona was that of a gutsy man of action, Coburn was a deeply introspective and creative offscreen. He ranged over many types of roles outside of action and adventure, playing in dramas and comedies, and never allowed himself to be typecast as one thing. His career that lasted for many decades had notable points in the form of collaborations with directors like Sam Peckinpah in Pat Garrett and Billy the Kid, 1973, and Cross of Iron, 1977. There was a natural truth to Coburn's style of acting. He did not overact at all, and more than often he employed silence, facial expressions, and subtle gestures to convey depth and feeling. During the late 1970s, James Coburn had a fiery and artistically fruitful four-year affair with the gifted British singer-songwriter Lindsay DePaul. Not only was their relationship personal, but it was also creative, since the couple worked together on music that left an indelible signature on DePaul's career. Along with her, he co-wrote catchy tunes like Losing the Blues for You and the playfully named Melancholy Melon, both of which were included on her award-winning album Tigers and Fireflies. Here, we saw yet another aspect of Coburn's rich talents. Aside from his intimidating figure on screen, he showed a knack for musical collaboration and writing, showing an artistic side that perhaps none of his fans was aware of. Following this period of musical discovery and self-enrichment, Coburn stepped back into the world of film during the 1990s, reaffirming himself as a commanding figure in supporting and character work. Through this resurgence, he starred in a run of varied and high-profile films that established his versatility, such as the Western adventure Young Guns 2, the action comedy Hudson Hawk, and the homie sequel Sister Act 2, Back in the Habit. He also used his gift to the sleek, light-hearted Western Maverick, the adrenaline-churning thriller Eraser, and the side-splitting comedy The Nutty Professor. Coburn's devotion to his art achieved its peak with his work as Glenn Whitehouse in Affliction. Such a role, so intense and emotionally charged, that it won him the prestigious Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor, solidifying his status as one of Hollywood's greatest character actors. As his career further developed, Coburn showed incredible flexibility by introducing voice acting, a field in which he was able to add his unmistakable gravitas to animation. His last such most popular roles included that of the charming but morally ambiguous Henry J. Waternoose III in Pixar's influential film Monsters, Incorporated. whose voice brought a character to life that is still iconic among people of all ages. With 4 decades of acting, musical composition, and artistic endeavor behind him, James Coburn left a lasting impression upon both the silver screen and the world beyond, demonstrating himself a veritable dynamic and lasting talent. In his personal life, James Coburn had 2 notable marriages that represented different periods of his existence. His first marriage was to Beverly Kelly in 1959, which would endure for 20 years and yield 2 children. Through these 20 years, Coburn rode out the troubled waters of balancing a burgeoning Hollywood career with family life, while at all times keeping his reputation as a charismatic and competent actor intact. Their union, as with so many in the highly competitive world of entertainment, ultimately collapsed, and the pair divorced in 1979. In spite of the breakup of their marriage, Coburn remained gracious and respectful of his ex-wife and the joint family they had created, stressing the need for sustained dedication to his children, even in the midst of personal turmoil. Later in life, Coburn fell in love again and wedded actress Paula Murad on October 22, 1993, in the picturesque ambience of Versailles, France. The marriage brought in a new era of personal happiness and stability for Coburn, who by now had established himself as a well-respected veteran of television and film. Both Coburn and Murad had not only a strong personal connection, but also a commitment to giving back, as exemplified by their founding of the James and Paula Coburn Foundation. Through this philanthropic foundation, the 2 individuals wanted to use their wealth to advance causes representing their values and interests to leave a lasting legacy beyond their work in film. Their marriage endured and was strong until Coburn's death in 2002, a testament to their partnership founded on love, respect, and shared purpose. Despite Coburn suffering from an acute case of rheumatoid arthritis, an illness that tortured him with chronic pain and restricted mobility, he lived his life with great determination and courage. He was an avid student of martial arts, learning to adhere to its discipline as well as philosophy. His passion for martial arts led him to close camaraderie with the legendary Bruce Lee, who is arguably one of the greatest martial artists ever. His friendship was no casual affair. It was defined by respect for one another, common passion for physical and mental discipline, and an appreciation of each other's commitment to their art. When Bruce Lee died under tragic circumstances at the peak of his popularity, Coburn paid tribute to his friend by acting as a pallbearer at Lee's July 25, 1973 funeral. This act highlighted the strength of their friendship and Coburn's devotion to the people he held close, pointing to a side of the actor that was empathetic, respectful, and dedicated to the individuals who were important in his life. James Coburn was not only a renowned actor, but also a man with no hesitation in saying what he thought. Throughout his long Hollywood career, he had seen and met hundreds of personalities, some terrific, others infuriating. Although he looked up to most of his peers, there were some whose attitude, skill, or ego irritated him. These are the 6 actors that James Coburn freely said he disliked the most, and his honest impressions. Yul Brynner. Yul Brynner was one actor who stood out in Coburn's mind as a representative of style over substance. Coburn had this to say: Brynner was all image and no substance. He went into a room, and the only thing you ever felt was the baggage of his ego, not his talent. Coburn criticized Brynner's use of charisma and physical presence, maintaining that he tended to overpower the material and his fellow actors. He remembered moments on set when Brynner's dominant personality disrupted the group dynamic, making more timid actors struggle to get some space. For Coburn, Brynner typified Hollywood's fixation with spectacle rather than craft. Coburn's disdain was not entirely professional. He found Brynner personally overpowering, calling him the kind of person who seemed to think the camera was there for his sake alone. In a society that valued subtlety and honesty, Coburn's theatrics rubbed against his own understatement. Marlon Brando. Coburn had professional and personal conflicts with Marlon Brando. While he admitted that Brando was talented, Coburn believed that he used his reputation to justify unpredictable actions. He said, Brando might be great, yes, but to work with him was like walking on a tightrope. You never could be sure when the next tantrum fueled by ego would strike. Coburn was especially annoyed with Brando's unpredictability and the impression that he felt he was above the professionalism rules. He also said that Brando would sometimes undermine co-stars, which made it hard to do scenes collaboratively. Though Coburn was an admirer of Brando's talent at arm's length, he did not like the manner in which Brando's ego could dominate all others on location, making potentially great work stressful experiences. Steve McQueen. James Coburn and Steve McQueen shared a professional rivalry based on polar opposite styles. Coburn once joked, "McQueen believed it was cool to be good. I've seen him act circles around people, but there's no soul behind the eyes." Coburn believed that McQueen's popularity and charm sometimes hid an absence of actual acting depth. On the set, Coburn regarded McQueen's actions as self-absorbed, like he was competing for the spotlight instead of working with others. While Coburn credited McQueen with box office appeal, he would frequently comment that it took patience and a thick skin to work with him. To Coburn, McQueen represented the irritation of working with actors more concerned with image than technique. Richard Burton. The intensity and theatrics of Richard Burton conflicted with Coburn's subtle way of working. Coburn observed, "Burton could chew the scenery, like a bull chewing cud. Sometimes it's mesmerizing, but mostly it's exhausting." Coburn resented Burton's style as self-indulgent, having scenes become performances for Burton's benefit more than for the audience or the story. Aside from style, Coburn was cautious of the personal instability of Burton. He characterized Burton as brilliant, but typically enmeshed in ego and personal melodrama that might extend to his work. To Coburn, Burton was the dangers of letting personal intensity dominate collaborative artistry. Sean Connery. Coburn was ambivalent about Sean Connery. While he admired Connery's charm and undeniable screen presence, he derided what he perceived as arrogance. Coburn once commented, "Connery was a great actor if you liked the idea of him being James Bond all the time. Off-screen, it felt like nothing else mattered to him." Coburn found Connery's confidence sometimes tipping into dismissiveness toward others. On sets where collaboration was essential, Coburn felt Connery's ego could create tension, particularly with younger or less established actors. To Coburn, Connery was yet another instance of an individual whose stardom at times fell short of humility and technique. Kirk Douglas. Lastly, Kirk Douglas was included on Coburn's list because of ego and obstinacy. Coburn described, "Douglas had talent, sure, but he also had the unshakable feeling that the world revolved around him. That can wear on people." Coburn met Douglas both in professional and social situations and could not handle his larger-than-life character. Although he respected Douglas's work ethic and longevity in Hollywood, Coburn frequently found his overbearing character frustrating. For Coburn, Douglas was gifted but representative of the difficulties of dealing with larger-than-life personalities in Hollywood, actors whose self-assurance sometimes bordered on overbearingness. James Coburn, Oscar-winning actor and star of such classic movies as The Magnificent Seven, The Great Escape, and Harper, died suddenly from a heart attack at his home in Beverly Hills on November 18, 2002, age 74. The occasion was intimate and tragic, his wife Paula has revealed. He had died in her arms after collapsing while the pair listened to music in hushed silence together. A secluded setting that highlights the strength of their relationship and the tragedy of his unexpected death. The urgency of the situation yielded to an impromptu call to emergency services, and Coburn was immediately rushed to Cedars-Sinai Medical Center, one of Los Angeles's most prestigious hospitals where medical personnel tried to save his life.